Pittsburgh Steelers fans, it is time once again for your favorite moment of the week. Yes, Monday Night Raw is on. Or The Bachelor. Is The Bachelor on Monday night, Tony's?
It is. So is Raw, but I unfortunately I can only watch The Bachelor and not Raw because I only have basic cable.
Oh, okay. There you go. So I have no clue what's going on with the Bachelor. I know they just don't like the host anymore, but that's all right. Tony and I are used to being hosts that nobody likes, and welcome once again to the Steelers Hangover.
Certainly a writer in my case. I'm a writer that nobody likes.
We're just having fun. You know what? The people in the live chat are so good to us, and we really love you. And thanks so much for being with us this week, every week, as we talk about our favorite thing in the world. It's what I like to call, my diversion from real life. Absolutely. It's my escape, and it's the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I love it. So it is so nice to be with you and have you guys with us, guys and gals. We really love you, and we want to share our thoughts with you, and we're going to have some fun today. We just interrupted Justin Conway's Aussie playlist.
I say good.
But he loves the show. I like Aussie. My best friend, I was actually going to mention him because he actually works for that show you were talking about, The Bachelor. He actually works on that show, but he lives in Southern California, and he was at a supermarket, and this was about 7-8 years ago, and he was looking in the coffee section, and there was this guy next to him, all confused. And he has an English accent, and he looks over at my buddy and says, "My wife's not here. Can you help me out? I can't figure out what kind of coffee to buy." And and he's like, "Well, if you like this kind of roast or this," so my buddy knows it's Aussie because he's a big fan of that kind of music, and so he's given Aussie some lessons on what to buy as far as coffee, and then next thing you know, you hear him perfect tone, Sharon,
really,
come over here. And then Sharon comes over. "What do you need, Aussie?" And then they're like, this bloke is helping me find some coffee, and so she's asking about coffee.
That's crazy, man. That's like hard to find anybody more famous than that to run into. Two famous people, I guess. Yeah.
He, when I was out in Los Angeles, I ran into Greg Brady at the post office.
Wow, that's another one. That's another icon.
He was wearing an open shirt, belly sticking out, just at the post office. Oh man, I love it there. I want to go. But anyways, I digress. It's time to talk about the Hangover, Tony. And it's, last week was crazy. Remember the line that we put out? Every time you hear a bell ring, a free agent gets some money. Well,
absolutely.
It hasn't been as much this week, but it's going to be. There's going to be some crazy things happening. The only thing that really happened for the Pittsburgh Steelers as of Monday, and this is when this show is being recorded, if you're listening to it on a podcast platform, anywhere that you download your favorite podcast, or if you're watching it on YouTube a little later on. You don't have to watch his first line as long as you watch it. That's I appreciate you just doing that. But so the big news was Ola Adeniyi's gone. He went to was it a 1-year deal to go to the Tennessee Titans, Tony?
Yeah, that's what I saw, 1 year. I don't remember the number of the money, but I think it was for 1 year. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think that's it. And somebody put out there, I think it was Ian Rappaport that put out there that the Titans signed Steelers special teams ace. I kind of think he's more of a Steelers special teams 7 of diamonds, maybe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't remember
the ace card.
Yeah, I don't really remember him being much of an ace. I mean, he was the guy a few years ago in the preseason that went nuts, and we were all intrigued by him, and he really didn't show much after that. Maybe he was just blocked by TJ and Bud, but yeah, I wouldn't call him a special teams ace. I know that much.
I'm going to ask you to save your questions for the end of the show, the second half, but I am going to go ahead and tell Dennis M. O'Leary Jr. he asked, will Connor remain in Pittsburgh? I'm still not thinking. I really don't think that they are. I think they're going to draft a running back, and I think they're happy with their running back room right now, seeing what they can get with a cheap version of Snell. Anthony McFarland Jr. on his second year. I think drafting somebody. Don't know what's going to happen with Jalen Samuels. I just don't think there's room at this point. I love James Conner. I would love to see him be able to be successful in Pittsburgh, but I just don't think it's going to happen. So that's a question that I'm going to go ahead and answer now. In the second half, we'll go ahead and answer more questions. So that'll be good. Because we're talking about, we mentioned Ozzy Osbourne at the beginning, and now we've got people talking about Ozfest and now Marilyn Manson, Korn, The Disturbed, Chevelle. Man, it's a lot of fun. I'm the king of the tangents, so I always put you guys off on tangents, so I apologize. But let's get back to the crux of the show and what we really need to talk about. And it's this. The Steelers draft needs. Free agency's not over. If you listen to Jeff Hartman's show, Let's Ride, this morning, you know what he said. It was in the title. He's like, if you think they're done making moves, you're mistaken. They're going to go ahead and continue to make moves. But with the moves that have been made already, Tony, could you really think that the offensive tackle, running back, and center are firmly at the top of the list? Because I don't.
As far as the draft?
Yeah.
Yeah, I with their moves, a lot of it's depth. I mean, obviously they brought Juju back for 1 year, but that's just, I don't think nobody thought receiver was going to be a high priority for them anyway, even if he left. So, yeah, I don't think any alignment they signed, anybody they signed precludes them from drafting any of those positions in what, about a month or so. I think they're all on the table as far as I'm concerned.
So I've been going crazy with these mock draft simulators out there. They're a lot of fun, and they even offer you trades, and you don't have to accept the trades. I don't throw any trades out there. I wait till they're thrown to me, and then so I'm trading down, and I end up with like 13 picks. But I know that's not real, but I just see who all I can get, and then you can get a lot. I think this is going to be a deep draft, is what I'm really trying to say. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So there's going to be guys out there, but I don't think there's a clear number one. Because back when, we were talking about this way back in like November or October, when we're saying, who's going to be what's going to be the number one pick, and they were still undefeated. But we were saying at the time, probably the number one pick is definitely going to be an offensive lineman.
Right. And
then we started talking about, okay, it really looks like they're going to need to put a running back in the mix. So that was in November, but that was the same in January as well. Now, in February, the Marquise Pouncey news breaks, and all of a sudden we're talking about a center high. Maybe not number one, but we're talking about a center very high up there. Then after last week, needs have changed again. Now, the reason I bring up the fact that I've been doing these mock drafts, so I decided to, I sent one out on our Slack channel, and everybody knows that we have a Slack channel just with the 10 of us here at BTSC, where we go back and forth. We throw ideas at each other for articles. We want to know what everybody else is writing, what everybody else is going to be talking about in the podcast. Ideas, if breaking news comes out, we hear it fast. So that's one of the things that we do. So I was fooling around and I did this mock draft last week, and I took Zaven Collins number one. Now you're going to hear a lot about Zaven Collins right now, and this was before anything happened with Vince Williams. Man, so when I put that out there, and this was actually a conversation I had with Dave Schofield a couple days earlier, he was saying that Zaven Collins could be. I mean, this guy changes everything for the Steelers if they bring a guy like this, because he is not only great against the run, he's great in coverage, as an inside linebacker. And it's Zaven Collins from Tulsa, if you're not familiar with him. And I know that's not a big, sexy name that everybody knows, because everybody knows the kid from Alabama, Najee Harris. They at running back, they know those names.
Right.
Of course, you know who Trevor Lawrence is. Even though he's not going to be an option for the Steelers, but people know those big time players. But we get to know who Zaven Collins is as we go along, and you and I, we're researching a lot of this. Everybody here is researching a lot of this. But the thing for me is I didn't know who Zaven Collins was a month ago. I picked up on him about a month ago. And the more you look at it, and Dave was saying, if you go inside linebacker here, that's a pretty big deal, because that could change their entire defense.
Yeah.
And so I put it out there, and Michael Beck's been talking about this guy too. So he said, hey, I'm going to go ahead, send me a copy of this. I'm going to go ahead and put this out on my Twitter, because Michael's Twitter is amazing. I mean, he knows a lot of people on Twitter, and he put it out there. And I got all these Twitter followers because of it, because he put it out there. A lot of people loved it. People went crazy, though. Another 50% went crazy. If they draft an inside linebacker first, I'm out of here. Yeah. I'm gone. Like, all right, you're going to go crazy if they draft a great inside linebacker.
Just get a backup remote. That's all. They always say they're going to take the remote. It's always a remote or their phone, or they're going to smash your flat screen, all that stuff. It's every year.
But, and people are, I mean, it wasn't just one, it was a bunch.
Oh, I know.
And the fact that, why would they, I mean, that would mean that they're out of touch. It's not that they're out of touch, because, hey, the next night, Vince Williams is putting out a tweet saying, well, looks like I'm about to hit the streets, or something, or it's the streets for me, or something like that. And Tony, I mean, so the needs are going to change weekly with this team, if not daily.
Right.
So is there any position, and we've talked about this before, I mean, I think we talked about this on the Hangover. Is there any position that if the Steelers drafted that in the first round, you would be disappointed in?
Not really. I mean, people say, well, you got to go O-line, you got to go running back, and that's fine. But we all like Robert Spillane and his story and the fact that his dad or his great grandfather, whatever, I guess his grandfather played for the Steelers, and that's great. And he looked good last year when he had to fill in for Bush. But if you have a player like a Zaven Collins, who I didn't know about till you brought him up a couple weeks ago, if you have him fall in your lap and he's potentially going to be as dynamic as Bush, and you have those two guys in the middle of your defense, as you said, it changes everything. And you have Minka backing him up. So, the middle of your defense, secondary and inside linebackers, I mean, it just gives you, so much in the middle that you didn't have a couple years ago. So if a guy like that drops, you have to seriously think about taking him. And Spillane is just as big a question mark at inside linebacker as Zach Banner is at tackle, as Shooks is at tackle. So, there's nothing that's off the board as far as I'm concerned. Even cornerback now, as I'm sure we're going to discuss in a little bit here. There's nothing off the table other than, I don't know. I can't name a position. Outside linebacker, maybe. That's the only one I can think of. It maybe is off the table.
Okay, well, actually, that's not off the table for me. Edge rusher, it really isn't. Especially with losing Bud Dupree and not much. Ola's gone, so right. you have TJ on one side, you have Highsmith on the other, but you have nobody backing those guys up. So Zaven actually could play. Is it Zaven or is it Zavin? I'm not sure, because I've never looked it up. What I've read. I've never heard anybody mention his name. So if anybody knows if it rhymes with Raven, or if it rhymes with Haven, let me know. Right. But let's go ahead and look at this list. I'm just going to go ahead rapid fire, and we'll just go down the list. You tell me just yes or no. I mean, Yes, if it's a good idea, or no if it's off the table. Just say off the table.
Okay.
Quarterback.
Off the table.
Okay. Running back.
Yes.
Center.
Yes.
Guard.
Off the table.
Tackle.
Yes.
Tight end.
Yes.
Wide receiver.
Off the table.
That's what I was looking for. That's offense. I'm not going to waste your time with kicker, punter, and even though on April 1st you'll do your mock draft and you have a punter going, the Steelers trading up to take a punter number one.
I know there's so many areas I can go now with my fake April Fool's article. I found out even the other day, but I'm just gonna keep that a secret.
Okay, so let's go to the defensive side of the ball. Nose tackle or defensive tackle?
Yes.
Okay. Defensive end?
Off the table.
Okay. Inside linebacker?
Yes.
Outside linebacker, edge rusher?
I'm going to say off the table.
Okay. That's probably the one that I completely disagree with you on, but that's cool. We're allowed to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Cornerback?
Yes.
Here's a very interesting one. Safety.
Off the table.
Okay. So I didn't keep track of those, but I kind of agree with you. When we say off the table, that doesn't mean you don't draft them.
Well, I mean, like a premium pick, like a premium round. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't. When we're talking top of the draft, we're talking 1 and 2.
Right.
You know, I'm still if a great edge rusher is there at number 2, I'm taking him. First round, he's got to knock my socks off. But you know what? In one of my million mock drafts I did last night, I was thinking about it, and I actually found one that dropped that I put in there. But you know, you could look at this entire thing, Tony, and you can see that the Steelers, and with me mentioning that this was a deep draft, the Steelers have so many avenues that they could go down. Right. Because how many times did you say yes on there? I can't remember what you said for guard. Did you say off the table? Because I'm kind of off the table on guard right now. Unless it's because that's a guy that you can get in a second round. You can get a guard tackle kind of guy. But for the first round, I don't really want them to go guard.
No, I think we all love Kevin Dotson and his potential, and I'd like to think David DeCastro's drop off last year was due to injury. And you have BJ Finney as far as if he's not the starting center, you know he's going to be your backup interior lineman, your number one backup there. So I think they're okay there as far as the first round pick.
Yeah, you know what they are. So they definitely really are, and with like you said, you know we know what we have in Dotson. I don't think I know a lot of people think that DeCastro's done. I don't.
Yeah, it was just such a quick fall for him.
Yeah, I don't. There's a bad year now.
Right.
If he has another bad year, then you start saying, "Oh, okay, Houston, we have a problem." You know.
Right.
And then you start worrying about that a little bit more. Now, there's a guy out there at center that a lot of people, Michael Beck, I know, Matty Peverell, I think Jeffrey Benedict is really high on this guy, and they're talking about him now. Austin Blythe from the Rams is a center that's still out there that they think would be perfect in the system. The problem with that is, you know, they just brought Finney back. That's tough because you just don't know where they're going to go with that. And he's young enough that he could be around a while if you bring in a guy like Bly. I just don't know what kind of capital they have anymore because they've made some moves. They made some moves over the weekend that we did not talk about. I thought bringing in Miles Killebrew was fantastic. They brought him in from the Detroit Lions, and this guy's a special teams ace. And this is a guy that was drafted in 16 that they were really thinking about. And they would have loved to have brought this guy in. Does that to you spell the end of Jordan Dangerfield here? Because he doesn't have a contract.
Yeah, that's exactly when I saw that move the other day, and I you always have to double check if they signed Dangerfield back or not, and he's still a free agent. He seems like he's an upgrade over Dangerfield as far as what he's able to do on defense anyway. I mean, he didn't show much on defense in 5 years with the Lions, but he certainly seems to have more potential and what they're looking for as far as a guy who can play safety and that dime linebacker. And of course, he's a special teams ace, which is what Jordan Dangerfield he's made his career on. So I think that spells the end for him, unless he's willing to come back at a really, really cheap minimum deal. So we'll see. But I think right now it spells the end for Jordan.
So what we're going to do, we're going to take a break, and what we will do, it'll be a 5-second break, and Tony and I will be glad to pause for flash photography if you'd like us to during that 5-second break, because some people said that the 5-second break is way too long. We were doing 10-second break, but really the 5-second break that I have everybody do, or a 10-second break, is really for me. It's because I'm the one producing and cutting these shows, and it's so much easier. So I have them do that to take that break so I can go ahead and see that when we do it. But it also gives you guys a chance to stretch. It's not a big deal. Also gives a chance, if you are on a podcast platform, to go over to show number 2 and check us out there. And we will be right back right after this while Tony and I pose for 5 seconds. Okay, that's 5. So I hope you did screenshots of that. That is, I'm a big wrestling guy, and that is my tribute to Edge and Christian. We might do the 5-second photo break every week now, Tony.
I like it. Yeah, I was doing the Dr. Cox from Scrubs. I don't give a crap about anything.
I can see that. That's great. Hey, if you're not having fun, why bother? Oh gosh, why bother wake up if you're not going to try to have fun? That's my thing. Gosh. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead. Let's rank the 5 needs in our eyes. We'll start with number 5. And I haven't even done this. I have paper out here. I haven't even done this, but we'll go ahead. I'm just going to throw them down here into what I really think something that they should go ahead and take a look at. And I don't know if I've got everything here. There we go. So let's go with number 5, Tony. Let's look at that first. And if we're looking at just 5 positions, and you could put any of them in there, but I could let you go ahead with number 5 first, and then I will follow. And you're going to be surprised with who I put at number 5 now. And this is for the number 1 pick, though.
Number 1 pick. Okay.
Number 1 pick. So I'll let you go ahead and do number 5 first, or if you want me to, I'll be glad to.
No, I can do that. I have to go with outside linebacker. I think that's number 5. I think, I like Alex Highsmith a lot, and I think they do too. And I think he showed a lot of promise last year. But if a really good player dropped to them, and all their other needs would be reaches, and I think I could see them going with outside linebacker. So that's number 5.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you this. It's not going to be outside linebacker. In fact, outside linebacker is not on my list in the top 5. I think they need one. I really expect them to get an edge rusher in the second or third round. But I am going to go put it at number 5. I'm going to surprise a lot of people because we're looking at number 1 picks here. I'm going to go ahead and say center, because I really think that they're going to draft a center high. I just don't think it's going to be number 1. I think that they're fine with Finney for a year. At least they're going to try to keep him in there. They might have designs at a guy like Austin Blythe, who we just talked about. So I'll go ahead and say number 5 is the center position, Tony.
Okay. Well, I might shock some people here, but I wouldn't even have considered this position until Friday around 1 o'clock or so. I'm going to say cornerback is their second number 4 because with the news with Steven Nelson, I know they like Cam Sutton, but James Pierre and Justin Lane are totally unproven. So if somebody falls to them again, all their other bigger needs or reaches, I think cornerback could be in play at 24.
I might surprise you here, Tony. I'm not going to agree with you with corner at number 4. I still have corner on my list though.
Mm-hmm.
But I might surprise you because I've been talking all along offensive tackle. OT like crazy.
Yeah.
So, and that's where I'm going there. Before we get to that, I just want to bring up John Knox here. Are there any good centers in this draft? Yeah. And NDR says Landon Dickerson, Quinn Miners. There's also Josh Myers from Ohio State that I'm really high on. I'm high on Creed Humphrey, but I think any of those guys can be gotten in the second round, maybe some of them in the third, because I'm really worried about the kid from Alabama, Dickerson. I'm really worried about him as far as health issues.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some very good offensive, the very good centers there. But as far as you said, cornerback, I'm going to not say cornerback at number 4. Oh yeah, let me say this too. And this is a guy that I'm thinking at in my mock drafts. I'm not drafting a center. I was going Miners. I was going Myers like crazy. Then I'm waiting till the 4th or 5th round, and I'm looking at Trey Hill from Georgia. There's 2 guys from Georgia. There's a tight end, Trey McKitty, that I like a lot, and Trey Hill, and they went to their pro day, and the big guns went to the pro day the other day. So I really like Lumberzack agrees with the Trey Hill thing too. So there's some centers. You don't have to go number 1 for center though. And you can draft one of those guys, still start Finney, and then see what happens. Maybe one of those guys are ready to go. But my number 4 is, like I said, it's going to surprise a lot of people. It's offensive tackle. And it's for the same reason. I think there are some guys out there that you can wait on. You don't have to go in the first round because it is so deep.
Mm-hmm.
Offensive tackle is so very deep. I still like Tevin Jenkins, a guy from Oklahoma State, but he's maybe your 4th or 5th best prospect. Mm-hmm. He's huge. He's nasty. I think he would be great if they go for him in the first round. I'm not disappointed, but how I'm drafting right now, I'm probably not doing that. I'm probably waiting for pick 2, pick 3, because you could do real well. Case and Wright says this: would love a trade back, non-sexy draft this year. I think it's deep though, not sexy, but it's deep. There's a lot of it.
Right. Yeah, and I don't think there's a lot. They have way more picks. I don't say way more, but they have more picks than they had last year. And they didn't have a number 1 pick last year, so I think they're gonna probably stay in the first round this year.
If you trade back, don't trade. You have the 24th pick in the draft. I would say don't trade past 36. You still want to have one of the top 36 picks, but if you can get an extra 3rd round pick, I think that would be great. Let's go ahead and look at number 3 for you, Tony.
It's not going to be popular with people. I realize this, but I think centers is a big enough need for them because of BJ Finney and his limited experience as a starter. He's been a great backup, and he can start in a pinch. But can he be a long-term answer? And of course, CJ Hassenauer, he's a total unknown. I think center is still in play at the end of the first round. If there's a guy, I've been looking at the mock drafts, or not the mock drafts, but the rankings, like Walter Football, a lot of these sites, and they have a lot of centers with first round grade. So if there's a guy there and he's an absolute first round grade, and there's nobody else there that's enticing, I think you have to go and fill in, or address a need at center. So I think center's number 3 for me.
I'm a big fan of Walter Football, by the way. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's a big operation, but I really like it a lot. WalterFootball.com. I look at free agency. They're very good with free agency too. I think CBS is probably one of my first choices. Of course, I look at PFF too, but CBS is probably, draft wise, that and Walter Football are tops for me.
Mm-hmm.
If I look at number 3 here, and I've been kicking it around, I'm going to say corner. I would not be surprised if they go for a corner in the first round.
Right.
That could very well happen. They've got to address it. They also, if you do trade Steven Nelson, which I don't think they're going to trade Steven Nelson, I don't think that's going to happen. I
hope they don't.
I think he's gone.
Yeah, after this year, but I hope they hold on to him.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I think he's not playing another snap for the Steelers in my mind.
And do you think it's because he overvalues himself, or they think he's on a decline? What do you think? I've been racking my brain for a few days.
I don't
figure that one out.
I don't think that they think he's on the decline. And I want to go back to something I mentioned this on Fact or Fiction on my podcast and in my article. But what I'm saying about Steven Nelson is I think that they're going to give him an opportunity to pursue a trade, but there's so much out there at corner right now going into week 2.
Right.
And I just don't think that if I'm a team, I don't trade for him. I go ahead and see if I can get him off of the trash heap. However, some people were thrown out, and they did that in the live chat. A team like the Eagles could go ahead and make that deal and throw in Ertz and another pick or something like that and make that trade. But there's different economics to look at here. You get him for a decent price right now if you trade for him. But if they're letting Steven Nelson explore his own trade, he's looking for a place to go where he can get a new contract, though. So I don't know how cheap he's going to be. I just don't think they're going to trade him.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's going to be an opportunity for him to he's going to be with another team. I just really think that he's gone. As far as everything else goes, I'm looking at this. Don't blame Juju. Juju's not the reason that Steven Nelson wants out, or they're going to cut him. They did not choose Juju over Steven Nelson. I know you've got some of these talking heads in Pittsburgh that are stirring some stuff up, and there's the big one that we always talk about. There's another guy that is a big stirrer of the feces as well, that was agreeing with that other guy with the alliterative name. So I'm not even going to dignify those guys by mentioning them. But go ahead.
Well, no, I'm glad you said that, because I thought that initially, but once they explained the contract, Juju's contract, and they broke it down and they mentioned the voided years, that to me that explains it. Because I think that's why I asked you about what you thought about the Nelson situation, because I think the stuff that he's been saying, with his rankings and everything, I think he wants that his contract ripped up, and I think he wants a bunch of guaranteed money right now. So I think he thinks he's one of the top corners in the game, where he wants to be paid close to that level, and I think that's what it is. Because I think if they wanted to trade him, they would just they wouldn't give him permission to seek a trade. They would just trade him to whoever they wanted. But if they're giving him permission, I think it's like you said, they're giving him permission to find a suitor that could give him the contract that he wants.
Yeah, and it's going to end up being a win for the Steelers more than anybody. Steven Nelson, I think, deserves his money. So I wish the best for Steven Nelson. I hope he gets it. But here's the thing. I just don't think that they're going to be able to get a trade out of him. And if they've done anything, they have picked Joe Hayden over Steven Nelson. And a lot of it is economics, because Steven Nelson carries more dead money, and that's one of the reasons they would go ahead and trade him. But in the long run, Hayden's actually cheaper for this team. I mean, does he have the years left that Nelson does? Probably not. But
right,
those are the things they're looking at. NDR mentions Greg Newsome. I think he's out of Northwestern. JC Horn is out there. You also have Asante Samuel Jr. You have the big one that's also a junior, Surtain.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Surtain is out there too. So there are some big corners out there, some decent cornerbacks out there that you can go ahead and get in the first round, maybe in the second, but I'm putting them at number 3. We do have a super chat here, and it's from our good friend Snowman. $5 from Snowman. Ask for some prayers, and I'm having trouble bringing it up. Prayers go out to the folks in Boulder, Colorado. I did not get I read the headline. I did not get a chance to delve deep into it, but be safe out there and be well. And prayers go out to the families and the victims in Boulder today. Just a terrible thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I hate when real life gets into it, but it really does. And it's something, Snowman, thank you. It's something we should mention. And that's why we love this departure so much, to get into the Steelers. But I got to tell you, we've got to think of those other people and bless them all. So here we go. Let's look into it. So you're number 2, Tony. This one's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to go with running back. I think it's somebody. If there's a Harris there and all the other needs or would be reaches. I think you go with a running back if the right one's there. If it's a first round prospect there, but I think honestly, you can get, just like any other, you can get a really good running back in the second or third round. I think that's going to be the same this year. So. I think it could be number 1, but it's a huge need. I think it's their second biggest need, but it's not quite number 1 as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, I keep going back and forth on this. We've got the 2 at the top here for me, and it's running back and it's inside linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
Those are who I'm choosing from, and I have been preaching for the longest time. You don't have to take a running back in the first round. I've been doing that for such a long time, and I love what this guy Collins can do. But this is what I'm thinking here, Tony. I'm going inside linebacker at the number 2 spot, and not number 2 pick, just number 2 spot for the number 1 Steelers pick this year. And the reason I'm going to go inside linebacker, I want Zaven Collins. I could look at a guy like Nick Bolton too. Chester Rout's out there from North Carolina. There's some guys out there. But when I think of a running back, and even though I've preached, you don't go ahead and take one of these guys early. If you can get a game breaker, and this Travis Etienne could be that game breaker. Javonte Williams could be a game breaker. Najee Harris could be that big bruising back that could really do some things for you. But I'm starting to really fall in love with Travis Etienne too. Etienne. I'm not sure. I'm not good with the pronunciations. I'm going to wait until I don't watch a lot of college football. And Bert, I agree with you. Defense does win championships, and I want an inside linebacker. But for this, and they're not going to pick who I say. And all these mock drafts, all the mock drafts I've been doing, I'm basically going inside linebacker first, and most of the time it's Zaven Collins. I threw some Boltons in there, here and there. Second round, I'm picking Javonte Williams because I love him a lot from North Carolina. But there's something saying here, after reading our Slack channel today and watching Jeff look at the draft for KT Smith, Cliff Harris's A Punks article about Travis Etienne, and he's like, my gosh, this guy's faster than what Willie Parker was. He could do so much. Mm-hmm. And I think that could change some things too. So there, Kason Wright is basically saying Etienne. Bad, it's pronounced Etienne, says AJ. ETN. Etienne. Even Gavin Anthony says Etienne. Um, so I'm going to go inside linebacker at 2, which I could switch. I could switch on this, and running back at 1. In 10 minutes, I could change back to inside linebacker. But for me, it's those 2 at the top.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not committed on it because I'm wishy-washy on this because I want them both. You can't get them both, but you might be better off going Zaven Collins first and seeing if you can steal Javonte second. But there's something like, let me try to, Etienne. Okay, that's going to take some time. There's something about that guy. So it looks like your number 1 is inside linebacker, Tony?
Actually, no. I think
no.
It was going to be center, but I don't want to. The people are coming after me with the pitchforks and torches, but because I think you can get a good one in the second round. But I think they're very serious about rebuilding their offensive line, and I think there's going to be a lot of offensive tackles available, and I think that's number 1 for them because Zach Banner. I like Zach Banner, but he's an unknown. Shooks, he has starting experience now, but he's still unknown. He's going to be a free agent after this year. I think that's a very important thing. And if you can find somebody to be your left tackle or right tackle for the next 5 or 10 years, that's a very valuable commodity to have on your football team. So with so many unknowns being on the line, as far as I like Banner and Shooks and I like Dotson and I like all these guys, but it's not what it was a few years ago when it was the envy of the league. So I think that's where they're going to go. Offensive tackle.
So here's the thing. I can't disagree with you that either. The point of this entire exercise for me is I went center number 5, offensive tackle number 4, corner number 3, inside linebacker. I was wishy-washy back and forth, but ultimately I went inside linebacker 2 and running back number 1. But here's the thing. I'm going to go ahead and take center off the board because I want them to spend a 2 or 3 pick on a center. I don't want them to go number 1 on a center. I think they can get away with it and get a good center in rounds 2, 3, or 4. Like Donald says, Creed Humphrey taken in later round at center makes sense. He really does. Quinn Miners from Wisconsin Whitewater. There's Meyer from Ohio State. Trey Hill. I think you could get him earlier. So these other 4. Tony, if they go offensive tackle in the first round, I'm thrilled. If they go corner, I'm thrilled. If they go running back or inside linebacker, I'm elated. Because the reason for the exercise tonight was there's so much talent and they can do well with any of those players in the first round.
Yeah, it's just a matter of them not reaching. That's the whole point. I think there's going to be a lot of tackles available. There's going to be probably 2 or 3 that they're going to have their pick at when it's their turn of 24. And if they have to reach at any one of those other positions, where they very well may have to do that, then I think they're going to be doing themselves a disservice. That's why I think a tackle might be the sweet spot for them. This is my opinion, and I'm not an expert, obviously.
But I love it. Somebody asked us earlier if we're going to be doing a behind the steel curtain mock draft. We are going to do one on the show again. It might be 4 of us. I might talk to everybody to see if they. I know Jeff won't do it. I don't think Jeff will do a mock draft. But who knows? Maybe we could twist his arm to do that on a show. But I think that we can go ahead and get a few guys, maybe 4 of us. I know the blokes from Down Under want in. They've already told me, like, we want in. I think Maddie's taken off work that entire week. he is so draft excited. So we are going to do one on the show. We are also going to do a hangover draft. We're doing it again. So I'm looking at you guys in this draft. I'm looking at the Marks and the Donalds and the Steeler Nation 412 and the Double HH and Rajon and Cree and 4TL and Jeff Lauderdale and those are just the names on my screen right now as we speak. If I didn't mention you, doesn't mean that you're just not on my screen as we speak. and Snowman and NVR, NDR, and all those names. We're going to go ahead and we're going to do the mock draft again, and we'll do it like we did last year. I'm going to do something a little different this year. I am going to go ahead and not put the Jacksonville Jaguars on the board. I'm only going to invite you to 31 because we're putting Trevor Lawrence in number 1 at the top of the draft. Someone last year didn't go Joe Burrow, and it kind of messed up the entire draft. And so we're throwing in Trevor Lawrence at number 1. So not because we want this to be as realistic as possible. Snowman, if you draw the Minnesota Vikings, I want you to put yourself in the position that you are the general manager of the Minnesota Vikings, and this is what you would do if you were that team. George Teston, if you are the Cleveland Browns, I want you to forget that in that hour when we're doing it. George, if you're Cleveland, I want you to go ahead and act like you're doing everything to win the division and beat the Steelers for the next 10 years. That's when we do that draft, and we're going to do that the week of the draft. So the last week of April on this show on Monday night, we're going to be doing that. And we're going to have a lot of fun with it, but we want to make it as realistic as possible. We will have the selection show a couple of weeks before, and we will do that where we'll go ahead and we'll draw all your names. We're taking the first 31 that put interest in there, and we're going to go ahead and put them in a hat, and it's first come, first serve, but we're not doing it now, but we'll go ahead and we'll announce it. And when we announce it, we'll ask for you to send it to my email or my Twitter, and we'll go from there. So there we go. Yes, George, you are not taking a long snapper if you're Cleveland.
we can override that. We have the authority.
Yeah, we definitely will have to. But no, I appreciate it. We'll have fun with it. We did it last year for the first time, and it went over like gangbusters. And it was a lot of fun. I want to bring this up real quick as we wind everything down here. And I lost it here, but it's Eric, and it's a good question. Why is Connor being disrespected when all he did was get yak yards and was reliable in the pass catching game? Do we not all agree that we had a poor line? There lies our run game. I think that it's a number of things. I think it's a 4-year sample size of health. I think it's the new scheme coming in. Look, if they bring him back, I would be perfectly happy. And I mentioned that earlier in the show. I just don't think that he is going to take a lesser contract to come back. And I think there's ultimately going to be some interest in him. Running backs didn't go quick in the first week. I think they're going to go in the second. I think he could possibly get some action. I really love his game, but I think they're looking for a change here. And the last time that they re-signed a running back was, I believe, 2006, and it was Veron Haynes was the last guy they gave a second contract to at running back. And that just shows you what they do with running backs in this league. That might make it crazier that I'm saying, hey, pick a running back in the first round. But running backs are a lot more disposable. So when I look back, Tony, to Le'Veon Bell and all the conversations we had over Le'Veon Bell when he was holding out, I still think he did it the wrong way. But if you're a running back, go get your money.
Right.
Get your money and don't do a hometown discount if you think you could get it, because that's the one position you're not going to get a third contract.
Exactly.
Look at how quickly Todd Gurley, how he fell from the face of the earth, just like that. And running backs seem to do that.
Yeah,
they really do. If I had a kid that was playing football, I'd probably say try it any other position but running back if you want to be a pro.
Exactly. Yeah, and as far as Connor getting disrespect, lack of respect, it's just it comes down to health for me. I mean, I love his game. You know, somebody said he's no Le'Veon Bell, but under the right circumstances, he could be pretty darn close. He showed that in 2018. The problem is 2018, 2019, and 2020, he kind of faded down the stretch. The first 2 years it was due to injury. Last year you can blame the offensive line if you want, but the fact of the matter is it's 3 years in a row where you really couldn't count on him producing near the end of the year, and you need your top running back to be an important factor in your offense and as week 17 and week 8 and the playoffs roll around. So that's, to me, that's the issue. It's just health with him. I think it's best if he moves on, and I think it's best if they go in another direction with running backs. Just my opinion. I love the guy, but I think it's time for them to move on.
No, and Bert, I just want to clarify. I'm not comparing Connor to Le'Veon Bell. What I'm comparing, like, if you're a running back, I think James Conner could actually get more money elsewhere than he can in Pittsburgh.
Right.
Really, because I think both. I think they're looking to make a change there, and I don't think that they're looking to invest in James Conner, and that's just really what I think is going to happen. And with the fact that it's been almost 15 years since they've given another contract to a second contract to a running back, I really think that's the difference here. So, with that being said, I love James Conner. I had a chance to meet James Conner. I think he's great, but I just don't think that. I think if you're a running back, very rarely should you sign a second contract with that same team in 2000, whether it be 2015 or 2030, the way things are going. So, I really wouldn't. Somebody just mentioned, Steeler Nation 412 just said, Connor in Baltimore or Atlanta or the Jets, good fits. And I got to tell you, I think I would hate to see him in Baltimore, but that would really be a good fit for a guy like James Conner in Baltimore. Yeah. I would hate to see it, but I think he could be very effective in a place like Charm City. I think he could be very good for a team like the Jets as well.
Yeah, I mean, in Baltimore, if he, obviously J.K. Dobbins is good to be demand now there, and Mark Ingram, I believe, signed with somebody else. So there's certainly room there if he's willing to accept that kind of a role where he's not the number one guy. I think that's what's best for him. But I don't think he wants to be that here. I think he wants to be number one here. So I don't think that's what they want for him in Pittsburgh anymore.
Okay, this is I'm just looking at this. Agree, Snowman, don't want to miss out, but I'm not getting on Twitter. No, you don't have to get on Twitter. All I'm saying is all you have to do when I mention it, when we go ahead and throw out the invitation, I'm taking the first 31 emails or the first Twitter messages that I get. Okay, we'll keep it, we'll make it simple, we'll just keep it to email. That's it. When you make the actual pick that you make, it is going to be live on the show. It is going to be in the live chat. You will type in, so say if it's just Stacy Lynn. Say Stacy Lynn has the Atlanta Falcons. When it's her turn to draft, I think they draft 5th. Is that correct? 4th. I think they draft 4th. Mm-hmm. So we'll do number 2, number 3. Then we'll go to Stacy Lynn. She'll be like, the Atlanta Falcons choose with the 4th pick, so-and-so.
Trevor
Lawrence, yeah. Remember, I'm taking Trevor Lawrence.
You have to take off the board because he'll probably be available if you don't do that. That's what I mean. That's why we're only picking 31.
But did he drop the 3 last year? We're like, no, guys. Stop. Not Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's how we're going to do it. So we're going to have you guys. I'm going to go ahead and compile all the names. We're not going to have you do it in the live chat saying I'm in. That's easy for you to do. You have to know that you could be there for the show. You definitely have to be there. Steelers Chick wants to do multiple rounds.
Oh God, we'd be here for 3 days.
Yeah, we would be.
It'd be like the real draft.
That would be fun though. but we'll consider it. How about that, Steeler Chick 46? We'll consider it. Tony and I will have a meeting. Tony's already voted. He's like, bad.
Well,
no.
That's right. I'll have to what's it called? Recuse myself after my damning statement I just made.
Now Donald wants multiple rounds. All right, we're doing 7 rounds.
Jeez. I guess I'll have to call off work that day.
No, we're still gonna just do 1 round, but we'll have lots of fun with it. If there is if there's a huge demand and we get a lot, we'll think of something. We'll think of something special. We're always good. Tony and I could call an audible like anybody, right, Tony?
Exactly. We're like Ben and AB. We read each other really well.
We've got some Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that's right. I'm AB. I'm the one who wants the ball all the time, and I'm the biggest troublemaker. So we're like, but we read each other really well.
Tony, what's my last name?
Davis.
You can't spell divas without Davis.
That's right. That's right. And you've never invited me to your house.
Actually, I have invited you to my house.
Right, many times. I'm the diva for not accepting.
Stacy, I'm not picking on you. I'm just saying that you're going to be in the draft. See, I highlighted you, Stacy. That's what I did.
Mm-hmm.
I love our live chat, man. I love each and every one of you. We went over 129. And once again, this is March.
Yeah.
There's no games right around the corner. I know the draft's in another 5 weeks. You're a Steeler diehard if you're on here. So I love that in you. And I love that that Tony and I could be here and be the hosts for the Steeler family. We're your patriarchs. So Tony could be the dad. I could be the weird uncle that shows up like on Full House, the early days. Not the Dave Collier guy. I thought he was creepy with the cut it out guy, but he actually, you got to give him credit. He was dating Alanis Morissette, and they say that song was about him. You ought to know.
Good for him. I don't know how he pulled that off, but
so yeah, he must have some magic. All right, I'm really off the rails here. This was supposed to be a short show tonight. So thank you, everybody. We are going to be here next week once again. Remember, check out all of Behind the Steel Curtain for all of your Pittsburgh Steelers needs, whether it's on the editorial side. It's just not the one-stop shop like Dave and Jeff like to call it. It's a non-stop shop. Non-stop. Anytime you want it, it's there. I promise you it's there. Hey, if you want to get a hold of me on Twitter, I know some of you just said you won't do Twitter. If you want to get a hold of me and say, hey, Bad, what's up? Hashtag BTSC, BAD. What are you, DeFeo Man? Is that what?
That's it. That's it.
Hashtag DeFeo Man.
That's me.
That's a cool one. You want to get a hold of Tony? You do that too. So thanks so much. We appreciate it. Live mic tomorrow on the audio only side at 5. Check out the retro show this week. It's going to be a good one. Who do we have? The Indianapolis Colts, the Bumblebees. Is that the one that we have running now? That you can go right now on audio only and find it. That's a fun game. We've got a good one coming up at the end of the week next week. Run into a little battle in the desert in Arizona in 97. You're going to like that. So we have lots of great stuff coming up, whether it's old stuff or it's new stuff. When I say old and new, what it is, it's just, we've got it all, my friends. So for DeFeo Man, my name is BTSC Bad. And just when you think you've got all the answers,
we keep changing the questions.